In the days, Scots virtual religious service will be reading or opening up with a composition trois, followed by our continued reading of Hebrews, taken from the Aul and New Testament, rendered in Doric by Gordan Hay, available through Doric Books. Get yourself a copy to follow along in the link below. Composition trois. Fit why are a countries o a warl, I fecten we na nither. Fit why de folk I think say muckle of themselves. All kings o a warl stand tea. On a chiefs confab a gither, to counter a meester. On them he's picket. We'll brock all their chines, they say, and fling off all their rapes. A meester sittin' on his throne, abeen I the heavens, laughs at them. A meester scoffs at them. Sign, in a guy like rage, he'll gie them fit for. I have put my king on his throne, on a pure knoll o Zion, he says, and this is his decreet. Your Maloon, he says, this day I've become your father. Sick fema, fit you like, and I'll leave ye hale countries von a gyang awa. You'll ain richt to the ends o' the earth. You'll brock them wi a wan airn. You'll call them to bits like a clay potty. Just ye hae mine, all ye kings. Learn weel your lessons on ye, all ye clan chiefs. Fall doon and worship a meester. Shock we dreed afore him, and be glad o' him, and kiss his loon. For fear a meester be raised at ye, and strick ye doon in mid-course. For he is guy quick to get his burse up. But them fall lippen to him, will I be glad. And now we'll continue with our reading from the book of Hebrews. Hebrews chapter 9. New a first covenant hid its roles for worship, and it is a worldly sanctuary too. A tent was putting up on a utmost bitoid, hid a candlestick, a table on an offering bread, This was called a pure place. In by a yonta curtain was a benmace tent, called a pure of pures, or the purest of purities. And in it was a golden altar for a burning o' incense, on the ark o' a covenant holding a golden pot of manna, an iron stick, fit hid spruted on a tablets wi' a commandments scriven on them. On a beam was a cherubim o' a stem, casting their shadow o'er a covering o' the ark, called a mercy seat. I hinna time to say mair aboot that anew. In this setut, the utmost tent was eased by the priests for their religious duties, but the benmace tent was eased but eins an year by a hick priest, carrying a sacrifice of bleed for his own Ildeans, and the Ildeans o' a folk. Basic things, a pure spirit means his to understand, a why to a pure or haly of purities, wasna yet open, as long as a oatmace tent was standing. This is all symbolic, pointing to nowadays. The offerings on a sacrifices couldn't a only greed for a cleanse o' ascension The offerings on the sacrifices couldn't be only good for a cleansing or a sentient being or a worshipper. It was just a matter of meat and drink, wise a washing yersel, and purification ceremonies, just foist on them till sick time as an entity should fess ben the truth. But now, an entity is come, a high priest of good things utter to come. A tent of his priesthood is greater nor a mere perfect, nae bigot but only human han. Ought's to say, nae belonging till this world. It was no we goat's bleed, nor coffee's bleed, but we his ain bleed, and he won into a pure of purities, and has gotten everlasting salvation for us. Gin a bleed of bulls and goats, and a ace or brunt quake, were van spurkled on a unpure, and yok to mock a folk pure. Then fu muckle meer will a bleed o a nineteen himsel, for through his everlasting spirit, offered himsel to Almighty as a perfect sacrifice, purify your sentient beings, for deans of death, so ye may serve a living Almighty. This is a why an entity works for his new covenant, and a poor, through his death, to fess deliverance for ill deeds committed through the old covenant. Say out them for Almighty his called till him, myth get a promise of everlasting inheritance. 'Cause just like a will, a covenant isn't valid till a body is dead. For a body for marks a will's living, a will his nae effect. And we see at a all covenant itself didn't talk effect without bleed being spoilt. 'Cause von Moses telt the folk ilke command or law, he took a bleed o coffees and goats wi water, and reed and hyssop, and sprinkled the buke on all folk, saying, This is a bleed o a covenant Almighty marks wi ye. Moreover, he sprinkled wi bleed a tent and all a pure corpse. According to the law, near all cleansing is done wi bleed. Ye may say out, without the shedding of bleed, there's nae forgain. It was necessary, at the patterns of things in the heavens be purified by sick sacrifices, but the heavenly things themselves could only be made pure in the sick to Almighty with greater sacrifices nor sick like. An entity didn't gang into pure places made by human hands. Sick places are just an off-talk or rectines. But he gaed into heaven itself to stand afore Almighty, for is he winna keep an offering himself hour an hour, like a high priest gone in till a pure of purities, ilka year wi a bleed o another beast. I would mean he had to suffer death ilka time he gaed into heaven, for a very start to a world. A fact is, he's appeared eens and for all at the hinerina time, for very to deal wa wi Ildian be a sacrifice o himself, and it's our lot, and it's our lot to die eens, and signed comes a judgment. Say a 19 was offered eens to thole the Ildians of money, and to them I look for him. He'll appear a second time, nae to deal with their Ildians, but to fess them to salvation. Hebrews chapter 10. a law is but a shadow, and nae a pure picture o' a great things to come. Say it couldn't mock perfect ascension beings of them for made their sacrifices year after year. Gin it hid, sign, a sacrifices would notin to hae been continued, 'cause our worshippers, cleansed ence and for all, wouldn't hae had ony sense o' Ildean. Whosoever as sacrifices served to mine folk ilka year o' their Ildeans, a bleed of bulls and goats cannot talk awa your Ildeans. Say, when an entity comes into a warl, he says, "You dinna win sacrifices and offerings, but you've made. You dinna win sacrifices and offerings, but you've made ready a body for me. Brunt offerings and sacrifices for Ildeans did nathan to please you. Sign, says I, see, I've come. As it says, Oma, in a book o' law, to thee fit you went my till, Almighty." First of all, he says, Almighty talks nae pleasure in sacrifice and offering and brunt offering, made according to a law. Sign 19 says, "See, I've come to thee fit you went my till, Almighty." Aunt why, Almighty talks awa all wise to establish anew. And aunt why we are made pure through an offering o' a body of Jesus anointing, ence and for all. Ilka priest stands ilka day, ministering and offering hour and hour again as same all sacrifices. I can do nathan to talk awa Ildeans. But this chiel, after he had offered the a sacrifice for Ildeans forever, sat himself down at the richt hand o' Almighty, for he waits till his face are made until his fit still. Through at a offering, he's made perfect for all time ilka een, for he mocks pure. A pure spirit himself confirms this till his, when he says, first of all, "This is a covenant I'll mak with them after 8 days," says the Meester. "I'll put my laws on their hearts, and scribe them in their minds." On sign he says, "On their Ildeans, on coarseness on mine nae mair aboot." Say, when Ildeans have been forgien, there's nae need for ony mair offerings. Say, through a bleed o' Jesus, my friends, you and me can hae a spunk to hold on in till a pure of purities. He opened up a living way for us to gang through a curtain, oughts to say, his ain flesh. Now, hain a heek priest set our hoose o' Almighty, let's draw han near han wi' a true heart full of confidence a faith. We're guilty hearts sprinkled clean, and we're bodies washed wi' pure water. Let's hold fast till a hope we profess, we need of all, 'cause we can aye depend on him. And let's think on een another, and fu we can burst een another to loo and de good works, nae forgetting to ought'n a kirk regular, or a book of callings, like some folk. Let's do all we can to help een another's faith, all the mair as ye see a day drawing near. Now, gin we dinna behave ourselves ence we can and accept a troth, there can be nae mair sacrifices for Ildeans for us, but just a terrifying expecting o' a judgment on a fire o' Almighty's wrath, it will burn all at stands contra him. A chiel for disna talk wi' a law, or Moses, gets a death sentence, we nae mercy on a word or three witnesses. Fu muckle war div ye suppose a sentence will be for a chiel for his trumpet on a sin almighty, untreated like dirt, a bleed o' a covenant, had eens made impure, unaffronted the very spirit o' mercy. We ken fa whiz, said, vengeance is mine, I'll pay back. And again, a maester will judge his folk. It's an awful thing to fall into the hands o' a living almighty. But mine on the days all long syne, after ye'd seen a licht, unfold sic a sair fecht. Files you were made a fairly, and you were miscalled and tormented. On files ye steed up for them and were ill used. A same way. Ye took pity on the lads in a jail, and were cheery when your gear was pinded. 'Cause ye kent ye hid something better, and longer lasting gear in heaven. I be cruce, because sick is a great payback. Ye maun thole all, wi long suffering gin. After ye've done Almighty's will, you're to get fitties promised. For still and on, in a wee filey, him fa's comin' will come, and winna be lachi. My richest folk will live by faith, and gin he curry back, I winna be fair shooted wi' him. But we're nae a kind of folk at curry back at time ourselves. Nae fegs, we have a faith on our sovet. Hebrews chapter 11. Hebrews chapter 11. Now, faith means putting our hale confidence in the things we hope for, and being sure of things we cannot see. It was through their faith at the all folkies one acceptance fell Almighty. It's through faith that we come to understand that the hale world was bigot by a word of Almighty. Say that fit can be seen, was made out of fit cannot be seen. It was through his faith that Abel made a better sacrifice to Almighty nor Cain. Through faith he come to ken that Almighty looked on him as a good kind of chiel, 'cause Almighty accepted his offerings. And through faith he aye speaks, even though he's dead. It was 'cause of his faith that Enoch was ta'en awa without seeing death. He couldn't be found, because Almighty had ta'en him. And that's 'cause Scripture says that Almighty was rail shooted wi' him. But without faith, ye cannot please Almighty. A chiel that comes to Almighty maun believe that Almighty exists, and that it's worthwhile to seek him out. It was through faith that Noah, being warned of a disaster to come, built the ark to save all his folkies. By his faith he condemned a world, and won for himself a righteousness that comes through faith. It was through faith that Abraham held the wa out to a place that in the hinerin would be his. Nae kennin' fan he would set out far he was gone. It was through faith he held yon in a fremd country to a promised land, biding in tents wi' Isaac and Jacob. For ert wi' him a same promise, 'cause Abraham was sickin' attuned wi' a solid foon. His ark fa's architect, and mason is almighty. It was through faith that Sarah won the strength to be a mither in spite of her old age. Hannah Barney, as she did, weel ayont her years. 'Cause she held out the een, that had gi'n her a promise, could be trusted. Say, for the ae chiel, on him thought to be past it. There come a clan as mony as a stars i' the lift, and as countless as the grains of sun on a shore. All at folk deet i' the faith, though they hadna yet gotten the promises of Almighty, but they'd seen them hine awa and welcomed them and took wi' them, kenning themselves to be nae mair nor fremd, and just passing through in this warld. Folk that say sick things ken fine they're looking for their ain fireside. Gin they'd meant a country they'd come out o', they had ilka chance to gang back to it. But instead, they were seeking a better country altogether. Nathan less nor a heavenly een. That's a why Almighty's neen affronted to be called their Almighty. He's got a muckle tune ready for them. It was through faith that Abraham, when he was putting to a test, sacrificed Isaac. Aye, a chiel that had heard Almighty's promises was willing to offer up his ae loon, of fa it had been said, it's through Isaac your offspring will be counted. He believed that Almighty would raise him up, even fair deed. And he did kind of win him back fair deed. It was through Isaac gied Jacob and Esau his blessing, telling them about things to come. It was through faith that Jacob on a throws of death blessed Joseph's loons, bowed o'er his rung. It was through faith that Joseph, when he slipped the timbers, spake o' the exodus o' Israel out o' Egypt, and left instruction about fit was to be deen wi' his beans. It was through faith that Moses was hodden by his mither and father 3 months after he was born, 'cause they saw he was a lad o' parrots, and were neen feart o' a king's edict at all. And were neen feart o' a king's edict at all we loonies should be drowned. It was through faith that Moses, when he was a man, refused to be called Pharaoh's daughter's loon. He would rather suffer hard wi' Almighty's folk, nor talk up wi' a wise o' sick and ill-getted country for little mair nor a season. He thought the reproach o' a nineteen mair precious nor all a wealth o' Egypt, 'cause he kept his eye on a reward to come. It was through faith he led the exodus out o' Egypt, nae a least feart at the king's honour, 'cause he had the strength o' een fa sees Almighty's fa canna be seen. 'Cause he had the strength o' een fa sees Almighty fa canna be seen. It was through faith he keepit the first Passover, and a sparkling o' bleed, say at the send o' death fa killed all his loons, wouldn't touch his folkies. It was through faith they walked through a reed sea, and gin on dry land. Pharaohs, the Egyptians, when they tried, were all drowned. It was through faith at the walls o' Jericho come tumbling down, 'cause the folk had deemed fit Almighty tilt them, and held on roon about it for 7 days. It was 'cause of her faith at Rahab, a whore, didna gang as same gate as them fa didna dee fit their telt, 'cause she made the Israeli spies welcome. Fit mair need I say. I hinna time to tell ye all the tales of Gideon, Barak, Samson, and Jephthah, o David, Samuel, and the prophets. Through their faith at shields overcome hail countries, wrought righteousness, saw make his promises come about, stop at the moos of lions, pot out raging fires, escape it being killed by a sword. The shargers they were turned into stout shields, foremost it affecting on put pot hail armies to flict. Some come back to their women folk fae very jaws of death, from the very jaws of death, on gin they'd been raised fae a deed. As gin they'd been raised fae a deed. Itherines were tortured, refusing to be lot louse, went to win till a better resurrection in a world to come. Itherines were scoffed at, unflogged, unchined up in the jail. They were stained, sawn in twa. They were tempted by false promises, and sign put into a sword. They wanted to boot rigged out in sheepskins and goatskins, we nae make to their name. Sair come out and tormented by a whirl. It's sell our course to see their worth. They wanted to boot in the rock country, in the mountains, in caves, or in bores in the ground. They all got a good report through their faith, but yet they did not get what was promised to them, 'cause Almighty had a better plan in mind for our days. It was a long ways they should win to perfection. And that concludes our reading for the day. Till next time, be heartened, be sealful, and endure till the end.